He's the man leading India's air power at a time of enormous flux and turbulence. He took charge months after the Balakot airstrikes and has presided over India's air power during the ongoing Ladakh standoff with China. A warlike situation in our northern sector that has stretched for over a year now. But as the events of the last few days have shown, viewer, the threats to India and Indian airspace can be so small that they could even miss the eye. It's our privilege to be joined live and exclusive by India's Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadoria. Welcome, Air Chief Marshal, sir. Thank you for your time and for speaking to India today. As the Air Force Chief, one is aware, sir, that your mind is occupied by the entire spectrum of air power and security. But I would like to begin with the issue that has taken center stage in the last few days. You know what I'm talking about. So I would like to begin by asking you, sir, to give us your assessment of the drone strikes at the Jammu Air Base. We've heard multiple versions of what may have happened. As the Air Force Chief, your assessment of this particular incident.
Okay, what happened at Jammu was essentially a terrorist act which attempted to target our assets there. The attempt failed, of course. Our assets were not damaged, and there were two explosives used. First one was HE in nature, and the second one was fragmentation in nature, more meant to kill people if they were to come onto that scene. And both failed. There were some minor injuries to two of our personnel. As far as other details are concerned, all the agencies concerned have launched a very detailed investigation, and we have also provided our members are with them to provide all the details. And we'll wait for the results of the investigation in terms of why and who, etc., and take further action as per that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Air Chief, given that, the threat from such drones has been, something that India has been cognizant about for a while now, the Air Force and the other services, military establishments have had, some anti-drone defenses as well. How could this attack have happened? We are just trying to understand, even with those preparations, sir.
Yeah, okay. We have gone over this subject in terms of the implications of this kind of capability in the hand of non-state actors, and of course the kind of effect the drone capability and the armed drone capability would have on even future conflicts in a conflict situation. Both have been addressed to a large extent in terms of our planning, in terms of what kind of system we need. Essentially, both the abilities of soft kill and abilities to have a counter drone system which will have an element of detection and an element of hard kill, which is sustainable in the sense that it should be possible to react in short notice, detect, quickly react, and be able to target it. And that targeting is essentially direct energy kind of targeting, so that the possibility, especially in terrorist kind of situation or acts like what has happened, the possibility of harming our own people is lessened. All those issues have been looked at, and many of these projects were already undertaken, and some have already been fielded, and,
yes.
and it's from the indigenous industry. Especially the soft kill options are already in the field. This particular base did not have a critical assets, and we did not have that system fielded here. As far as other methods at such bases are concerned, whenever a drone which is not expected or which is not ours, and it kind of comes into the boundary, there are processes and SOPs in place in terms of addressing it. But this happened that on a night there was no visibility, and it happened from a direction where from the airfield to the perimeter to the target they chose was just about 450 meters. So these are the ground realities. But in terms of our ability to counter such, it's already some ability or has already come, and much more is coming. In fact, another month from now, our deliveries will start for another such system from indigenous sources. And I will not go into the detail, but a lot of work has gone behind it. In terms of hard kill operation options, it is a little more tricky issue.
Okay.
We have worked extensively with DRDO. They have a nearly functional system. It's under trial. Some improvements need to be done in order to achieve the kind of distances we need to effectively target such activities. And that it's just a matter of time before we finish the trials and put it into production.
Okay.
So that element will also come in. Of course, now this drone incident that has happened, we are taking some other measures in many of such bases to ensure that even if such an incident happens at bases where critical assets are not there, we have some systems in place. So it's a question of how we deploy our limited system at the moment, but very soon we will have enough, and we will target. We'll find a way of tackling these threats.
Air Chief, you know, ever since the Jammu incident itself, there have been drones spotted at other stations, which basically gives the impression that this is going to be a kind of, technological warfare, a new chapter in using drones in an offensive manner at this level. Given that, this is a new reality, and you've just spoken extensively about the defenses that we have, assuming that no defense can ever be 100%, as the Air Force Chief, and given events of the past few years, is the way forward to ensure that these attacks don't take place at all? Are punitive measures also on the table?
No, I would not like to go into what measures are on the table. Of course, all sets of measures would be looked into. So as far as this incident is concerned, let the investigation get over, and thereafter all these issues would be addressed in terms of whether action is required, not required, and a whole lot of deliberations that need to go into it. As far as the threat from such drones is concerned, both in terrorist application or in a conflict situation, particularly application of this kind of capability, which goes into swarm drones capability. So we need to have systems. Firstly, we need to have capability ourselves, and a lot of work has gone into that, so that we already have some capability in drones. It's not that we don't have. We already fielded it, and we will have much more. And we also will have such capability with the adversary. So this is a cycle which will continue, but we are giving it a very high importance. It is a critical area. It is a new kind of threat. It has many connotations, and we are looking at it closely to find the right solution and the right mix and handle it effectively.
Air Chief, now I'd like to bring you to the other big story that has occupied mind space, militarily speaking, over the last 1 year, and that is the standoff in Ladakh. We've seen the application of air power and air power's role in it. How would you assess where things are at right now, sir? Because the general sense is, even though some small disengagements have begun, it has become almost a status quo-like situation in Ladakh. There are still large masses of the Chinese forces there. So what has it all finally resulted in, your perspective as the Air Chief, sir?
Given a fair amount of assessment in terms of current situation, after the initial disengagement which has happened, there is virtual kind of status quo. Many of the infrastructure that was developed, particularly from air aspects, means their surface-to-air systems, their connectivity, their deployments, except for some aircraft that were taken back from the forward airfield deployments, rest of the infrastructure, if anything, has been strengthened.
Yeah.
So in terms of infrastructure changes, it hasn't happened in terms of disengagement. In terms of troops on ground, on some friction points, of course, disengagement has taken place. You are aware talks are on at all levels to handle all the issues concerned with further disengagements and de-escalation finally. But till that happens, we need to monitor the situation. And from air aspects, air power point of view, we are monitoring across very carefully, very closely. We are aware what kind of assets are where and what needs to be done. From our point of view, the deployments and whatever action needs to be taken have been taken in order to ensure that we are there if a situation develops suddenly.
Because it looks like the Chinese, like you touched upon, Air Chief, have been trying to, rectify the imbalance as far as airfield infrastructure is concerned. There is a perceived advantage that the Indian Air Force has in this particular area. So it looks like China's efforts to actually build up its airfields in this area, could be an aggressive gesture. Is that the Air Force's assessment as well?
It is something that they have spent a lot of energy in terms of building infrastructure at many of the airfields. And it is, I would say, instead of aggressive, it is defensive in nature, because they have analyzed as to what all can be hit by us quickly in case the situation requires. But we have to take measures depending upon whatever infrastructure gets developed, and we are taking measures to ensure that we will achieve our aim even with those changes that happen. The other issue is that they have like you said, they are looking at wherever there were deficiencies to cover it. There are many signs of that. Apart from infrastructure, in terms of their training, in terms of their other issues, in terms of some other methods that they've done to bring in more efficiency in their air operations, and those are the things that we are watching carefully. Of course, we are doing our own, upgrades in terms of our exercises and whatever is required, sensors, weapons, new integrations, and actions across the board are being taken. So we are much more capable than we were 1 year back. It's not that we have just maintained status quo on our capability.
It's very good to hear that, Air Chief. And now I'd like to bring you to the third big story, that I'd like to touch upon in this interview, in this interaction with you, sir. And that is the issue of theaterization. It's on top of everyone's minds. It's one of the big issues being dealt with by the security establishment. You have your hands full with it. I'm sure discussions have been taking place non-stop. It is being billed as one of the big military reforms since independence, and it basically envisages rationalizing our military command structure to shift away from service-specific commands into more theater commands. There is a perspective, Air Chief, that the Indian Air Force in some ways is a spanner in the works. I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's a perspective that this reform is being pushed back on by the Indian Air Force. Is that perspective or is that perception true, sir? And can you tell us why?
That perspective is totally incorrect. Absolutely. We must understand, CDS was a big reform. So CDS has got established. The next biggest reform is integrated theater command. And it is much more complex. So there is no issue. There is absolutely no question. And I've said it on record many times that we are for establishing of integrated theater command. But what the issues that we have raised are in our internal discussions, and it is to do with how should we do it. We must get it right. It is the most important reform that has an impact on warfighting. We already have a functional system today. Okay, but when we do integrated theater command, we should reach a next level of ability to project our comprehensive national power. We should be able to synergize. We should be able to put up a power that is more synergistic and have more flexibility. We cannot have more boundaries. So there are issues in terms of some of the options that are being discussed, and those are the issues we are internally discussing. I would not like to go into media and describe what my concerns are or what has the Air Force said and what somebody else has said. But these are all methods of deliberations. These are all issues that need to be deliberated upon to get it right.
Yeah.
To get it right. It is not an issue of spanner, etc. Absolutely wrong.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Come to the media doesn't mean that we are the ones putting panel. Out of question. We are totally committed to the theater command, but we must get it right, and that is the focus area that with which we are doing all our deliberations. And there are issues that are being looked at, and there are deliberations on between the three services with CDS, and that process is continuing.
Air Chief, you're saying that we must get it right, which is something I appreciate. Are you then saying, sir, that the formula or the template that is being proposed for theaterization at this time is something you don't fundamentally agree with? And if that is so, what are the Air Force's concerns? Because from the outside, sir, for those who aren't fully immersed in the technicalities of it, it's looking like a turf war where the Air Force is concerned about the dilution of its assets and its powers.
You see, I will not go into list my concerns on the media and list what is the proposal. So there is a proposal that is there. There are issues that need to be discussed with respect to those proposals and the nitty-gritties of it. And the important issue is that there are many complex issues when you set up an integrated theater command, and many of those issues should be upfront looked at very clearly. We should clearly understand how are we going to structure it, sort out the principles, sort out the important issues, and thereafter implement it. So it's not a question of what is the proposal, what are our concerns, and get into this. I can go into those details, but I would not like to discuss those on the media.
Okay.
Important issue to understand is that we are of course for it. It is wrong to say that we are against it, but there are every service has its own, doctrine, has the best knowledge of how to employ the capabilities and capacities to get the desired results. And whenever we have a system which is integrated, we must look at that entire, the doctrine and the abilities of the services must be brought in, and it must be a synergized result. So those are the issues, and,
Yes.
and we are discussing it. These are normal methods of deliberation, and that is what is on. There is no issue to get concerned that we will not have a solution or something. There is very big amiss. No, it is just part of deliberations.
Okay, but part of constructive deliberations that are taking place. I just wanted to draw you to to the interview that we did with the Chief of Defence Staff about an hour ago, Air Chief. One particular comment that he made. I just wanted to see if you wanted to add anything to that because it is specific. He said that there should be no reservations over a single air defence command, which is part of the proposals, and that the Indian Air Force works in a supporting role for the fighting forces. Is the Indian Air Force, sir, comfortable with this particular part of the proposed plan? I'm not asking you to say anything specific, but just to that comment, sir, if you wanted to add anything to that.
It is not a supporting role alone. The air power has a huge role to play in any of the integrated battle area. It's not an issue of support alone. And there is a whole lot of things that go into any air power air plan that is made. And those are the issues that is under discussion. I would not like to, like I mentioned, comment on what he has said, what has been discussed with you earlier. I'm not sure. But from our perspective, we have some views on what all should be done and what are some concerns. That has been deliberated in-house. And I would like to leave it in-house. I'm sure you will be happy to know the final result rather than, have half the result being discussed in the media. Whenever we have the final result, of course, it will come out.
But you're confident that there will be a result and a solution that will be agreeable to all sides, sir, because that's what the country wants.
There will always be a result. Yeah. Of course, when you sit and talk, there will always be a result.
Okay. Now, it's been 2 years, Air Chief, since the Balakot airstrikes. How have things changed since then? Much has happened since then. You took over as the Air Force Chief, just a few months after that very tense time between India and Pakistan. Many new assets and weapon systems have joined the Indian Air Force since then. The Indian citizen would like to know what has changed since that time, sir. How better prepared are we for operations of that kind or more?
Oh, a lot has changed. We have put in place training methodologies which have gone into much more, realistic training areas. We have changed the entire, the way we operationally train. And we take the entire Air Force and all our field elements in an integrated manner into this area and train in a realistic training area. So that has been a major change in terms of ability to train realistically. That has given us very good dividends, very good results. Apart from that, there's been a huge effort to upgrade and to speed up the wherever integration was taking place, be it new weapons, be it new capability, be it new aircraft coming, be it improving the serviceability, improving the mission system, and a lot of thrust on indigenous development. For example, Astra missile, you are aware, so I'll mention it, which came up on one aircraft. We are quickly moving to integrate on others. We are quickly moving to integrate on more aircraft. So these are the kind of actions that have happened. It has been a jam-packed 2 years from the point of integrating new weapons and new capability. The other big area is, I think, what we've achieved in networking.
Yes.
Huge changes in automation across the board, in all our operations, maintenance, administration, and all related activities. So our combat capability today, what we are able to put in, especially in terms of advanced weapons. When we look at the adversary in the north, there are some technological capabilities which were much ahead. And we had to move quickly to ensure that we have capabilities in place to be able to tackle those different. Yes. And I must tell you that we have the capability. So these are the issues that we have looked at, and we are much more capable today to handle any of these threats.
Air Chief, I'd like to end this interview on one of your favorite topics because you are seen as one of the biggest proponents and advocates of self-reliance and Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense. So I'd like to ask you this question, sir. How successful has your vision been as far as Atmanirbhar Bharat is concerned, whether it is to do with the Tejas, whether it is to do with the AMCA, which you touched upon in your comments as well? How satisfied with you with the pace of self-reliance that you had laid out when you took over as the Air Chief, sir?
Overall, to put a generic answer to this, quite satisfied. But there is always a small print, and there are areas that we really can move faster. And those are the areas I think we should look at. The major change is that the industry has responded well, and now the whole ecosystem, so to say, is moving in the same direction. It is one thing for us to put our projects with the industry. It's another thing to have successful projects out of it and get success. And many of the things, I wish I could give more examples, but
Yes.
some of the known things I have given example. There are many other projects where we have developed capabilities which were unthinkable 5 years back. Unthinkable. Okay, and all that from the indigenous industry. So the satisfaction is there. There are areas that we can move much faster. And I think that is the area of synergy between the various, I would say, pockets of the industrial base, be it DPSUs, be it MSMEs, private sector, and the interaction between them. So there is a lot of synergy that needs to come in. There is a lot of mutual trust building and, actual work that should happen faster. That needs to happen. There is an element of competitiveness and quality issues that needs to be addressed a little more. I would expect that any indigenous product initially goes through this problem. For example, LC had
Yes.
many issues initially. Now most of those issues are behind us. So we are looking to support. We are understanding in our support. And one more area of concentration was our entire maintenance of the aircraft. A lot of sustenance chain, yearly requirements, we have shifted to indigenous. We have gone in for 3D printing within our BRDs, and 16 of these projects are already
Yes.
under qualification. Unthinkable couple of years back, all from our, indigenous industry. So a lot has happened, and I'm sure these things will move faster in the future.
We are big supporters of your Atmanirbhar Bharat and defense vision, sir. And therefore, we'd like to express our happiness that you are satisfied with the way things have been going. And I think that will be one of the big paradigm shifts in military modernization. If most of what we induct into our forces, especially the Air Force, can be made right here in India, developed by Indian scientists and manufactured by Indian industry. I'm going to end on that note, Air Chief, because I know that is your pet topic, something that's very close to your heart as well, and something we'd like to see move forward with greater acceleration. It's been a privilege. Thank you for taking all of our questions here on India Today. The Chief of the Air Staff. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jai Hind.